Welcome to the NOSA Unleashed podcast, where we want to expose and remove the stigma surrounding mental health by discussing real-life challenges and obstacles that keep us paralyzed and fearful to move forward. Let us inspire you to believe there is more to life than what you are currently experiencing. Now is the time to end the silence and pursue the path to purpose and fulfillment. We will do this together because no one stands alone. Welcome back to the NOSA Unleashed podcast. I'm Laura Burgoyne, joined here with my sister Connie Blackwood. And today we are continuing the conversation from last time about re-evaluating our priorities. And today we want to specifically talk about how do you simplify your life? When things have been so complicated, you have been doing things out of obligation, you've been doing things out of just expectation or, not wanting to disappoint people. How do you start shifting those things and bringing your life into a more manageable pace and something that, when you wake up in the morning, you're excited to do what you need to do instead of you're dreading, oh, not another day, right? And so, Connie, welcome to the conversation.
Thanks for having me. I like this topic because it reminds me of what I had to go through just a year ago, after our dad passed away. I had to let things go and simplify my life because it was the only way I was going to be able to cope. And so one of the first things I had to do was resign from a board of a nonprofit society that I love, but I had to because I just could not do that too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, throughout the year, different things I had to let go of because I just didn't have the capacity to do it with
Mm-hmm.
everything else I was dealing with. And I'm glad that I did because I would have kept dropping balls and it would have not been good. And they were able to find other people to fill the gaps, right? And
Right.
so, I think that was an important thing for me to recognize in that season and just simplify life as much as possible. I even put my writing to the side for a year, and that was an important thing I had to do because I just needed that time.
Mm-hmm. And one thing that comes to mind too is, realizing that these are seasons,
Hmm.
right? Because just because I maybe have to put something on hold now doesn't mean it's forever,
Yeah.
right? Because sometimes we think, well, if I stop doing this, then, I'm basically saying no to it. But you could just be saying not now, right? Just like you did after dad passed, right? You had to say, I can't do some of these things. And maybe you will never return to that board position. Maybe you will, who knows? But I'm thinking even for myself, like there's been times for me where I've had to almost go through like a sabbatical season of
Hmm.
like just really simplifying my time, simplifying even what my mind focused on so that I could get recalibrated, so I could get some rest, so that I could restore myself, so that I would be ready for the next season. And so even recognizing that not everything that we restructure will be gone permanently, but recognize that, there are times and seasons. There are seasons where we need to slow down, where we need to reconsider. And, one of the ways that I simplify my life is it's easier for you to focus on what needs to change by writing it all down, right? Because a lot of times we
Hmm.
justify, oh no, I can do it. It's not that hard. It's not that difficult, but we don't see the compounding effect of all of the things that we're doing. And so it wasn't until I actually started writing down everything that I do every single day that I realized how overwhelming it was. And to look at that list and then be able to go through that list and say, well, this is non-negotiable. I can't get rid of it, but these other ones are optional. And really, it's taking away a lot of my time. It's zapping a lot of my physical energy or maybe my mental capacity. Is it bearing fruit? Like these are some of the questions we should be asking ourselves. Because if the answer is no, it's time for us to let those things go. Another thing to consider is, is this thing causing me stress? Right? I was part of this one group, and literally every single time my phone would have a notification from this group, my anxieties would just rise. Right. And it got to the point where I was just like, I can't be part of this group anymore. And do I love the people? Yes. Can I connect with them one on one? Absolutely. But, my season of being in that group, the way that it was structured, is over. It's just not for me at this time. And I'm okay with that. And in fact, since I've let that go, since I've removed that, I've removed myself from that, I have a way more peaceful day. I'm able to focus more clearly on the things that are truly important and, you know, concentrate on what truly matters to me right now in this season.
And as you're saying that, I'm like immediately my mind goes to group texts, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and there's so many people that want me to be involved in things and whatever. And so I kept getting all these group texts. And finally, I just said to the person who kept creating these groups, please don't add me to these groups. If you want me to be involved in something, email me because
Mm-hmm.
I keep getting the notifications from all these people while I'm trying to focus on the things I have going on and I can't focus. And I keep hearing ping, 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 and I'm like, is this actually important? Is this a text message? And like I'm like, I can't have this going on anymore. And she respected it and she hasn't done it since. And I've gotten a few emails instead. And I'm like, I appreciate that because then when I have the time, then I can read it and acknowledge it. But, you
Mm-hmm.
know, it's recognizing those things, right? Recognizing those things that can be even a distraction from the priorities that we have now like set in place, right? And that's part of the
Mm-hmm.
simplification, right? For me, it's more simple for me to read an email from my people than to get those text messages from like 15 or 20 other people that are in this message group.
Yeah, and also the notifications are coming from something that they're sharing with them, but is irrelevant to me, right?
Exactly.
So it's like, okay, I don't need to hear about that, right? Another way I like to simplify my time, and this is something that I implemented a couple years ago, which has been very successful, is time blocking,
Mm,
right? Recognizing, okay, what are the things that are most essential for me right now? And then actually schedule blocks of time where I'm going to just focus on that one thing. And then I know that when that time comes, that's what I'm going to focus on. And I'm going to work on it as much as I can, get as much as I'm done. But as when that time's over, I leave it there and I don't have to worry about it. Because a lot of times when we don't do that, our minds are not at rest. We're constantly thinking about all the things that we have to do, or all the projects left undone. It's almost like this constant to-do list in our head that we can't shut off. And when I started time blocking and having, a list of tasks that need to be done for that specific um, job or task that I have to do, it's still there. So when I come back to do that work, I just look at what was on the list and I start doing the most important and I work as much as I can. And that has significantly helped me. And I love that fact because it clears my mind. I don't have to worry about all those things and carry it in my mind thinking I'm going to forget and then I'm going to miss an important deadline or whatever. And so that was also a really great way for me to simplify my life.
yeah, for me, I think another thing that I do to simplify is um, I try to streamline as many things as I can and find more
Mm-hmm.
efficient ways of doing them. Because if it's something takes me an hour, but if I can learn how to do it in half an hour, I will take the time to learn it because that's going to save me more time than it's going to take for me to learn it in the first place over the long haul. And it will if be more efficient, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
for me, that's always on my radar. So like I just and now I'm like trying to learn how to use AI to make my life more efficient so that or my business more efficient so that I can actually effectively do things more quicker, right?
Hmm.
There are some things that I would never use AI for, but that is something I would want to use it for, is how do I automate or make things more efficient on my end so that I can actually prioritize the important parts of my job, right? Like connecting with people and like letting them know that I do these things and can help them, right? I
Hmm.
met with someone today who had been writing a book and had no idea I wrote a book. And so I told her about like what I've done and what I'm learning and that I want to be learning how to typeset and that I would like help her typeset. And she was like, wow, that's exciting. And so I'm just like, but she had no clue, right? And so if we don't actually put ourselves out there and have those connections, people don't know these things. And so that to me, that has to be a priority, connecting with people and getting myself out there so they actually know what I do.
Hmm. And that's great that you realize that that's, your priority, connecting and that one-on-one connection with people and that communication piece. And you're like, I need to streamline and dedicate, the other practical admin stuff and do it more efficiently so that I have more time to do what I know that I need to do. Right.
Mm,
And that's often what we have to do. It's like when we figure out what those priorities are and what is most essential and what's most important, figure out ways that all the other things can get done. And sometimes that means delegating.
hmm
Another strategy you can use is also habit stacking. If you already have a habit, and you're going to be in the same vicinity of, where you do that habit, you can start doing two or three other habits right on top of those and make it instinctual that, for example, when I get up in the morning and I go downstairs and, I go to wake up my son, well, his door is right across from the laundry room. So it's like, I always go wake him up. So now it's like, hey, I'm going to go immediately into the laundry room and swap the laundry and put in a load. Right. So it's like even finding ways to make your day, streamlined so that, you're creating systems in place that are making these things simple and making them almost happen automatically without you even realizing that it's happening, right?
hmm I like that idea. I was thinking, hmm, if I have to go to the bathroom in the morning, I could like do all my morning stuff and clean the bathroom while
There
I'm
you
in
go.
there, right? If I'm prepared and I plan it, I can just go in and clean it while I'm in there. Like that just makes more sense than, going, oh, I'll do it later. And then it never, my day gets away from me and it escapes my
Mhm.
memory. And then I'm like, next time I go in there, I'm like, ah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's a really good idea. I like that. I never thought about that one before. Thank you for sharing that one.
Yeah, it's one I heard about a while ago, and it's actually been brought up again in one of the books that I'm reading right now. And it's just like, yeah, I need to do that more. And it's just like, brainstorming ways of, what am I already doing?
hmm
And how can I align the other things that I have to do to make it more streamlined and efficient so that I'm freed up to do more of what I want to do or what I
hmm
feel called to do in this season, right? Because I mean, obviously we have to do our laundry, but I don't feel like that's something that I want to do or that I'm called to do. It's
hmm
just something that we have to do. Like we're not gonna wander around in dirty, stinky clothes all the time. We gotta wash our laundry, right? So it's like one of those essentials of life, but I don't want it to take away from other things that are important to me.
hmm
So finding ways to, stack those habits, create systems so that it's just efficient in your day that, after lunch, I always do this or I always do that. It's just like a routine. And it really does help, or it has helped for me.
I think another way that I simplify my life, or have been trying to anyway, is trying to figure out what all my distractions are and try to eliminate as many as I can.
Mhm.
So if it's games on my phone, then I delete the games on my phone. If it's, um my husband with Netflix. Then I'm like, okay, well, we'll watch one show or two shows and then let's do something else with our time, right? Like I'm trying to eliminate as much distraction as possible. Plus, I don't have good connection with my husband when we're watching those shows unless we're talking about them. And so for me, it's way more beneficial for us to be reading because then if he reads something amazing, then he'll share it with me, right? So there's way more interaction with reading than there is with Netflix or with whatever streaming service it is. And so, like, even that can simplify your life, right? Spend an evening reading to like with each other. It's amazing how much more that calms you down and like helps you focus on things. And yeah,
Hmm.
so that's something I've been trying to implement more and more is finding ways to not have so many distractions from actually connecting with people, including my family, right? So,
And I would say that our phones are a huge distraction,
mhm.
which is why when I go to work, I either try to put my phone on do not disturb or leave it completely in another room. Now, that can get frustrating sometimes when important people are trying to reach you, which happened yesterday for me. I had forgotten my phone at home and I had left it on the charger all day. And, it was actually freeing. I loved my day yesterday because I I wasn't distracted by my phone, but it came to the end of the evening and somebody who needed to reach me couldn't, and they were quite frustrated. So, that maybe wasn't the best thing, but recognizing what those distractions are and like you said, eliminating them or finding ways to minimize them so that you can be more effective in the things that are important.
Yeah, for me, I can't just not bring my phone to work. My boss contacts me on my phone, and I've learned the hard way that when I leave it home, it doesn't work. Because it's usually those days when they need to reach me often.
Well, I left mine at home accidentally and uh it was a pleasant accident for me
Oh, I know.
yesterday.
I've actually forgotten my phone a few times when we've gone out and done something social, and I've actually really enjoyed my time because I've
Hmm.
had no distractions. So, I'm like, I'm a proponent for if you're on your date night, leave your phone at home or leave it in
Hmm.
the car, right? Because, you might want it in case you get into an accident or something. Okay. But don't bring it into wherever you're going, like, because then you can't really focus on each other, right? If it's something urgent, let people know where you're going and they can reach you there, right? Like,
Hmm.
I think it's more important to be able to focus on each other when you're doing something like that. And it is freeing. You'd be surprised at how nice it feels.
Hmm. Another thing too, which some of us have issues with, like for example, if we get a notification or we even post something to social media, then we get sucked into this like scroll,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
We see a post and we just keep scrolling. And so one other strategy we can use is actually in the settings of your phone, you can put limits on different apps, right? Which will only allow you to use that app. Like for example, let's say Instagram or Facebook. You could set a limit that you only are able to use it for like an hour a day or 2 hours a day. At that point, that app will completely shut off and you won't be able to use it again unless you like override the settings by putting in your passcode or whatnot. But that will be a mental reminder that you've spent more than enough time on here. So that could also be another way for you to, have balances and checks put in place so that you don't realize an hour and a half later, oh my goodness, I've been scrolling here for an hour, right? So that's another way that we can simplify and bring more margin and structure into our time is by doing simple things like that, putting parameters in place that will help guide us to what's truly important.
And something else that struck me while you were talking earlier was lists. I
Mm.
think when we like write down the things that we have to do, it actually helps us organize our time better. Because then you start seeing what's most important. Then you start seeing, because I think sometimes if it's all jumbled in our head, we just tackle what's actually in our head as most important. But sometimes when we have it on paper, we're like, actually, that is actually the most important thing. It's the most uncomfortable thing. That's why I don't want to do it. But if
Mhm,
I don't do that, we're going to get in some trouble. So I need to do
mhm,
that. And I think sometimes when it's on paper, it's easier for us to recognize how important that thing is, even though we don't want to do it.
mhm. And be willing to do the hard things, right? Because, like you
Mhm.
said, we often procrastinate on those things we're uncomfortable with, that we don't want to do, that maybe will be out of our comfort zone. And, we'll actually get busy doing other things that are not important to
Mm-hmm.
avoid that one thing. And if we would just do that one thing and get it over with, then we would be free to do the rest of our life, right?
Mm-hmm.
But how many times do we procrastinate on those things because we don't want to do them? It's time
Mm-hmm.
for us just to say, you know what, Laura, you're going to do this. You're going to do it now. You're not going to have any more excuses. Let's just go for it, right?
And I think when we do that and we just get it done, it's so freeing because, like, honestly, we make it way worse on ourselves by putting it off and putting it off and putting it off, that we've like made this into like such a huge thing. And when we actually do it, it's like, okay, that was easier than I thought it would be. And it's done
Mhm.
and it's over. And oh, thank goodness, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
so much peace follows. And it's like,
Hmm.
so it's definitely worth the time to like figure out what those hard things are that you're avoiding and make sure you do them and prioritize them because they can change a lot.
Yeah. So there's so many ways you can simplify your time. You can simplify your life. I think the main thing is to actually sit down and recognize what your time and energy is being expounded on and decide what's important for you right now and what can be put to the side. And then start eliminating those things which are causing you stress, anxiety, chaos, a lack of peace. Start finding systems, put them in place that are going to create more margin for you, that are going to open up opportunities for you to do what's truly important. And most of all, be present and connect with those that you care the most about. And I think especially since we're coming in to, our Christmas season, how many times do we go through Christmas completely overwhelmed, spent, exhausted, right? Now, figuring these things out would actually be a good thing for us to understand so that we can come into the Christmas season and have margin
Hmm.
and realize that we don't have to go into Christmas frazzled, completely burnt out, stressed out. What is going to be important for you this December?
Hmm.
Take some time in the next week or so before December comes and decide for yourself what you want this December to look like. And maybe there's some things that you've done every year that, aren't aligning with what you want for this year. And it's okay to say no. It's okay to put that aside and restructure and simplify so that you can have one of the best restful holiday seasons that you've ever had before. I know I'm going to be doing this. I know there's some things for me personally that it's just like, yeah, you know what, in this season, I don't need to be doing that. And I'm looking forward to making those decisions and having a season of rest and a season of peace. Connie, do you have any last thoughts before we close out for today?
Um, I was gonna say that simplifying your life can also be an important financial decision for you because
Mm,
sometimes I think we clutter up our lives with a lot of things that cost money that we don't
right.
need. And so I think sometimes just simplifying our life also can free up finances, which around Christmas time is a key, right? Because that's when we tend to spend more than we need to. And prioritizing like homemade gifts is a huge way of simplifying, and they mean so much more. Like
Mm.
And they don't have to be expensive, you know. And so that's another way I've simplified. And I think that one is also a key one because, I think we get into these modes where we think the most valuable thing is the most expensive gift. Well, that's not necessarily true. I think it's the one that
Mhm.
actually hits the person in the heart.
Yeah, that's so true. Awesome. Well, as you go into this holiday season, I hope that you take some time to reflect and recalibrate and make some decisions what you want this holiday season to look like, and also stepping into the new year. What do you want your new year to look like? And be willing to let some things go that aren't serving you right now. And that's okay. And maybe it will be you know what, you're letting something go for good, and maybe it's you're just letting it be put to the side for a season. And before we leave for today, I want to remind you about our upcoming webinar. We will be talking more about this subject on recalibration, and that is happening on December 4th. It's a Thursday night. We do it live on Zoom from 7 to 9, and Connie and I will be there to share our hearts with you. So we hope that you join us, and you can register for that on our website at nosafoundation.com. So have a great day, and we will see you soon on the next Nosa Unleashed podcast. Bye.
Bye.